Welcome to Sunday Morning Sitting Group. Really happy to see you all. And this morning, I really want to come back to basics and just talk about the healing power of meditation. You know, our hearts can really become heavy in the face of so much suffering currently going on, and the suffering we're constantly being told is yet to come. And so I think often we're not so great at offering care and nourishing attention to ourselves. And so I'm going to talk about that this morning after we sit. And so let's sit together first. By the way, my name is Trudy. I'm the founding teacher at InsightLA. And we don't need to go around and say names as we used to do when we were together in person, because we can see each other's names, and actually an easier way to learn each other's names too. And I see lots of old friends I'm happy to see, including Ruth Blackman, who was our, I would call her a volunteer coordinator, but really she was constantly coordinating herself because she was our main volunteer for so many years at InsightLA. And it's just, I just want to lift up Ruth and thank you for all those years of dedicated service. Ruth, would you raise your hand so people can see who you are? Oh, Ruth and Alan. Well, Alan, yes. You support Ruth. Thank you, thank you. So let's sit together. Finding your comfortable sitting posture. And taking a deep breath in, breathing in the aliveness of this morning, of this moment, and releasing. And another breath in. And letting it dissolve into space as you exhale. And one more time. And now just letting the breath flow in its natural rhythm. Tuning into the body sitting here. Sitting so quiet and still. No matter how jumpy or agitated or distracted or dull or sleepy the mind may be, we can always tune in to this stillness of the body. Calming the nervous system. Stabilizing our attention with the movement of the breath. The sensations in the body. The sounds of life around you. Bringing attention, attentive to life in this present moment. Life in the form of you and me. And all of us together. And you can sense the presence of our Sunday morning community. As we look into our own hearts, explore how it is for us in this moment, alone and together. And the miracle of mindfulness, of this uh, attentive and kind awareness that we're bringing to experience, is that whatever the content of our minds and hearts, whatever the experience might be, even if it's unpleasant and unwelcome, bringing this kind of attention to it is profoundly healing. Healing the sense of separation and disconnection from ourselves, from each other, and from our living, breathing world. Can keep it really simple, just being in touch with our clothing, feet on the floor or the mat, the passing feelings and thoughts. And just noticing how our attention follows whatever stimulus is most compelling, internally or externally. And this noticing, this stepping back, is another kind of attentiveness. And this is our mindful awareness, aware of life unfolding moment by moment, breath by breath. Just this right now. And mindfulness notices when our attention has wandered into the past or the future. And mindfulness works together with our concentration to bring attention to just what's happening here, right now. Being mindful with a light touch, gently returning to this present moment, gently returning to awareness, softly, carefully, respectfully, tenderly. So I want to talk with you this morning about this healing power of meditation, and to tell you, I've been, of course, practicing on my own for over 45 years and integrating the practice into my clinical work as a psychotherapist in a variety of settings many years ago in my previous incarnation as a psychotherapist in Boston and Cambridge, Massachusetts. But the point is, I've worked with birthing mothers, with teenagers in living in prison, with dying people, with children, and of the rich and famous, of the heads of independent schools, and really some of the most emotionally traumatized and dysregulated children in the entire Boston area. So there were people of great privilege and people experiencing poverty and uh, people suffering from racism and neglect and abuse. And I taught also in an intensive hospital based program at the University of Massachusetts Medical School in Worcester with my friend John Kabat-Zinn. And you know that he developed a very inspiring application of mindfulness meditation for people with chronic pain and the stress of illness. So all of this is not to brag, it's just to say I've seen that meditation works in all these different contexts. And I want to offer my boundless gratitude to all of my teachers and my joy at being able to share what I love so much with you, with all of you. The meditation instructions, whether it's for loving kindness, the method of loving kindness meditation, which cultivates more concentration, or mindfulness meditation, are very simple. Either way, they're very simple. All the different practices that we teach, but they're hard to do. Partly because of their simplicity. We're not so simple, and we are not trained to look at how we're making contact with ourselves and our world. We are always practicing something all day long. But how are we doing what we do? With what attitude? With what spirit are we doing it? And, you know, it's so hard to just stay present all the time. But we have to remember, even when we're thinking about the past, we're doing it in the present. Even when we're planning and dreaming of, the future, where we're maybe, as one of Father Greg's homies said to him, "Hey, Pops, we're one day closer to normal." Even we don't know what our new normal will be, but, how we're going through our day, wondering whether it'll be worth our while, what we do, or whether we're lost in thoughts and memories of our recent wonderful past. Maybe it wasn't so wonderful, but compared to now. And as I was saying in the guidance, usually our attention functions very passively. It just sort of follows whatever stimulus is most compelling, whether through our inner world or externally. And we haven't been taught and trained how to create the mind, the approach, the attitude to experience that would be rewarding for us, that would give us a sense of inhabiting a reality that is attuned to who we are and who we would like to be. And then we wonder what's wrong because we haven't learned how. And so our practice, this is universal among human beings. This is not our difficulty, particularly in America or Europe or South America, wherever you may be. It's a fundamental difficulty of human beings. Things are changing now, and there is mindfulness teaching in schools, but that's pretty recent. So I want to tell you an old Zen story. This is about somebody who was seeking a way out of this dilemma, and wanting the kinds of answers about life and death that are really haunting many of us now. This question of life and death has been forced into everybody's consciousness with the arrival of COVID, of the coronavirus. And although you've heard me and other teachers, probably all of your teachers, talk about impermanence and being aware of our mortality, and how being aware of our mortality helps us really see the preciousness of each day, of each moment, of our aliveness. Um, but now here it is. We're really in it together. All of our thoughts and feelings and fears and learnings and insights from this time. So this is a story about a seeker who went to a Zen monastery. You know, somebody wanting to be more fulfilled and connected in their life, just as we all aspire to be, and walks up these countless steps up the mountain, you know, to get to the monastery. And the meditation master receives this seeker, and the seeker asks the question, like, what is the meaning of life? You know, this question that deep down we all have. What is it? And so this great teacher, she dips her calligraphy brush into the ink, and with one graceful stroke, she writes the word for attention. And the student says very politely, yes, of course, you know, I know that. And but in fact, they aren't digesting it at all, this truth. So they ask a different way. Could you show me something more sacred? Could you show me something more profound, like a deeper teaching? Or as somebody said to me the other day, I just need to hear something spiritual. Say something spiritual. So once again, the teacher dips the brush in the ink and makes this graceful calligraphy. And this time it says, attention, attention. Now, the student's frustrated and impatient and says, look, there has to be more to it than this. And I'm asking you humbly, you are the master. Please tell me what is the deepest teaching that you have to offer. And of course, the teacher, once again, picks up the brush and writes, attention, attention, attention. In every school of meditation, in every tradition, there is a strong emphasis on direct experience rather than thinking about experience. And we all know the difference. And if we didn't know before, we've learned it here in staying home. There is such a difference in thinking about a loved one and actually being with them, right? So the point of our meditation is, and maybe all meditation, but is to develop this capacity for attention, to stop the momentum of our reactivity, to slow into our experience right here, right now, and to be able to learn from our experience in a different way because we have cultivated and built a solid, stable foundation of attention that allows us to see things as they are. The stability of the attention allows us to see what appears and passes away and what the cycle of everything, of being born, having its being, and passing away. And the mindfulness gives us a kind of undistracted steadiness. Now, that doesn't mean we're not distracted. It means that we can come back and we can come back. And the steadiness of that, it creates an absence of confusion. We aren't so confused. We're clear. Our attention isn't wobbling and floating away from experience, never to be called back. And in this practice of just being with what is the subject of our attention, of being with this, without feeling like we have to add to what's happening or subtract from what's happening, but being able to see just this simple recognition of what is here, the pause that remembers and sees, and letting what is here right now in this moment of our life, letting it be enough, feeling it in a direct and non-conceptual way, without the add-ons, without the overlay, just to see things as they are before. In that split second, sometimes that's all there is, before we've added on our interpretation and our judgment and all the things that shadow and color our consciousness. And you know, I actually want to quote, I was going to say, as a therapist, people hired me for this ability to see things clearly. And really in so many jobs and so many walks of life, that's actually what you're being hired to do. And, for people who are lost in pain, for couples in conflict, for families having trouble with raising kids, or to be able to see people and see relationships as they actually are, without so much bias and reactivity, is something we need more than ever right now. To be able to take that step back and look at each other, especially when we're cooped up together, and see each other in a fresh and hopefully a little more, with that clarity, a little kinder light. This is something that will help us navigate this period of time with not only more clarity, but more love in our hearts. So I want to say a few words before opening up for our discussion together about mindfulness and concentration in meditation, and how they work side by side, and how they each have their role to play in helping us stay balanced in our experience. And together, these two make up attention, as I'm using the word this morning. And I like the word attention because it could be awareness too, because it includes mindfulness and concentration. Attention has more of that flavor of the concentration, the intention, the will to be present. This is a quote from Venerable Bhante Gunaratana. He says, concentration is pretty much a forced type of activity. It can be developed by sheer, unremitting willpower. Mindfulness, on the other hand, is a delicate function, leading to refined sensibilities. These two are partners, they're a couple on the job in meditation. Mindfulness is the sensitive one. She notices things. Concentration provides the power. Now, these are his gender designations. She notices things. Concentration provides the power. He keeps the attention pinned down to one thing at a time. Mindfulness picks up the objects of attention and notices when attention has gone astray. Concentration does the actual work of holding the attention steady with that chosen object. Now, when we're really able to focus and stay focused, it brings a kind of happiness and a healthy sense of being present, as opposed to something that's forced or compelled or compulsive. And mindfulness chooses what the lens of concentration will focus on, and then looks through it to see what's there. So concentration, it can provide us, this intensity of focus, like a burning intensity of focus that's necessary to see into the deeper reaches of our hearts, and certainly necessary when you're in retreat practice. You learn to do this in a more intense way. But concentration alone will not throw light on the nature of our suffering, or how to get free, or to develop new perspectives on ourselves. It just doesn't do that. It's mindfulness that understands what's uncovered. And in the stillness, in the quiet of just sitting together, can see this more panoramic, holistic view of reality. And this is why when people often ask me about the difference between TM and mindfulness practice, I feel like it's mindfulness that brings wisdom, the pure noticing factor that can observe it all, the changing, flowing experience of life, the movements of the heart, either in reactivity or response. And we can cultivate this mindfulness together, as we do whenever we sit together, whenever we share and listen to one another carefully. We are cultivating this strength. The other thing about mindfulness that I love is, and just want to celebrate together, is its all embracing, inclusive nature. It asks us to be all accepting and patient and embracing and inclusive And that actually is what we have to struggle and learn how to do. So I think, let's see what else I want to share with you this morning. You know, just to say that every time we sit together and you bring attention back over and over again, and it seems like, I don't know, digging ditches sometimes, just sort of thankless, repetitious, almost like a menial task, like we have to do it over and over again. This is strengthening. This is learning to take our capacity for attentiveness anywhere we go. And just like concentration can be almost like a laser beam, it doesn't necessarily understand what it sees. Mindfulness is what helps us understand the mystery as much as we ever can and sets us free. They are working together in a kind of silent synergy that we can call attention. So I want to make one more pitch for a continuity of mindfulness in our practice, for linking moments of mindfulness, because the proximate cause, the cause, that which allows mindfulness to grow and become strong, there's only one thing that is the cause for mindfulness. Can you guess what it is? Any of you know? What causes more mindfulness? What brings more mindfulness? You're all muted, so you can't really tell me. Can we just unmute everybody for 1 second? Is that possible, or is it difficult?
Everyone's unmuted, Trudy.
Okay. Anybody want to guess?
Attention.
Yeah, the proximate cause of mindfulness is mindfulness. So that's why the continuity is important. That, you know, the mindfulness. Now we can mute people again. Because, you know, that simple moment of noticing, I don't know, my slightly sweaty palms or the wish to have a drink, the swallowing, the taking the drink, these simple things that just seem so maybe sometimes even boring or mundane, when we bring this quality of attentiveness to them, they build on each other and the world gets more beautiful. It gets more and more beautiful. And we are living then, even staying at home, we are living in more beauty. And this can be carried from one activity to the other with care and respect for each thing that we're doing. And then we don't have to worry about a day. Was it productive? Wasn't it productive? The pressure that we somehow feel because we're staying at home to organize everything, learn new languages, cook amazing gourmet new dishes, whatever. Actually, we don't have to do any of that. Just one moment at a time with care and respect for each one, make our life much, much more beautiful. Okay, so that's what I want to share with you this morning. And now I want to open up to you for your questions or observations. You can, you know, I hope that everybody can hear and see clearly. The problem last week was on my end. It was not InsightLA or Zoom. Yesterday was Zoom's fault, but last week was definitely on my end here, and we have upgraded the internet, so hopefully you can all see and hear clearly. And I just want, I know there are 2 raised hands, but Rick is still trying to ask the question from yesterday, so I just want to quickly address that. It's in the chat. And I can't always look at the chat when I'm teaching. It's a little distracting. I can glance at it from time to time, but don't count on the fact that I can read your message when I'm speaking and listening. And so Rick's question you can see in the chat thread. What about this indiscriminate virus and global pandemic, does it render the notion of personal karma meaningless? Presumably, no. That's right. No, it doesn't. Because the teachings are very clear. There's individual karma and there's group karma. And the main thing to keep in mind is that karma doesn't mean that we're getting rewarded and punished. Karma means action. And karma vitaka means action plus consequence. Actions have consequences. And we know that certain actions are healthier and bring us more happiness than others, and certain habits and so forth. But what is happening is not a punishment in the literal linear sense that we perceive things to be happening and unfolding in this very logical linear way. And there's lots of cartoons. Somebody sent me a cartoon from France last night that showed some cats and dogs, and I think there were some chickens, other animals looking in the window of a house and saying, yep, they're being punished. This is not the meaning of karma. And, you know, in biblical times, God was punishing people for their sins. We could listen to that beautiful message from the virus about the earth and imagine that the earth is taking things into her own hands. Maybe, maybe not. It's an idea. And what we're practicing is staying with reality, which is only ever what's happening right now. Okay. So who's moderating and calling on people?
I'm moderating today.
Thank you. Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Elena, you are unmuted.
Hi, Trudy.
Hi, Alana.
Thank you so much for everything. Such a gift to hear you. You spoke upon not like the struggle of being present all the time, especially right now. And I'm very blessed to have a vocation where I am needed. So I'm working and I'm busy. So usually that keeps my mind pretty busy, but I got in a car accident a couple of weeks ago. Somebody T-boned me and sort of
Oh dear.
hurt my back, and my neck. And so I've been in a bit of pain physically. And I live alone. And normally being alone, and even if I'm in physical discomfort, I'm okay. But I'm just having I'm recognizing when I'm trying to escape my mental struggles with everything that's going on, but I'm having a hard time being okay, now come back to your breath and be present with your emotions, and this too shall pass, or the impermanence of the thought or the feeling, because it feels so overwhelming. And because I don't have another human being to sort of
Right.
bounce it off of, or just
Right.
even
Right.
energy.
Yes.
It's been a lot more. I've lived alone most of my life. I love being alone, but for some reason right now, this is
Well, it's a
not.
little out of balance right now. I mean, even those of us who love being alone don't love being alone all the time.
Right.
And, we're used to being able to titrate and balance our time, alone time, and recharge, and then some together time, and enjoy that. And so I think two things. One is self-care and mindfulness practice. It doesn't mean that every moment you have to be as though you're meditating on the cushion. Sometimes it means, oh, right now, I actually need to change the channel. I need to go for a walk. I need to watch something. My granddaughter sent me last night a link to something that Jack and I watched last night, and we had done a lot of teaching during the day, and it was just so pleasurable to not do anything but enjoy this show. And so, do you see what I mean? My mindfulness doesn't mean we're just aware. Okay, what's needed right now is a shift in attention, and what's needed right now is attention to something maybe uplifting or beautiful or interesting or a detective, or, whatever it is that would be good in that situation. So I just want to make sure that, especially now when your body's hurting and you're working, and your work is physical work too. Alana is a chef. So that's not easy when you're in pain. And so really being sweet and kind. I don't know if hot baths help you. I don't
Yeah,
know if you have a bathtub.
I do. I think I'm just, you know, it's more of like I feel like a lot of that kind of behavior, whether it's like turning something on my computer or calling somebody, it feels like it's the avoidance factor. Like it feels like I'm avoiding the present moment instead of being with the present moment. Like, oh my God, I live in the corner of busy and busier. So all I hear is ambulances all day long, you know? So I guess that was my question, and I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm taking up too much time, but like the
Your
idea,
question is everybody's question. Remember that.
yeah, like that by turning something silly on the computer or by listening to music, it's avoiding my present feelings because I can't deal with them.
But
Like
sometimes you need to take a break. When you've reached the limits, we are human. We have limits. Our capacity for attention has limits. And when we've reached the limit of our capacity for attention, even if you were in a meditation retreat where you really are supposed to be meditating all the time, you would get up and go for a walk. You would be able to go and make a cup of tea and not castigate yourself because, I can't be with this feeling. I'm actually distracting myself by having a cup of tea. Sometimes we can come back refreshed.
okay.
And believe me, that feeling you're avoiding will not go away. It will come back.
Okay.
It will be back.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
okay. If you could reframe it and say, instead of avoidance, it's self-care.
Okay.
To acknowledge my limit and give myself a break.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Go ahead, Carol. You are unmuted.
Good morning, Trudy. God bless you. God bless everyone. Hello from my home. My darling Erwin is on his deathbed, and every minute is precious together. I have tools in my toolkit that I've learned from Trudy and InsightLA and teachers and all of you that I use minute to minute. I can really see and feel the sweetness of this journey at this moment together. I had a little momentary start the other night when Erwin, in his moment of lucidity, asked me to go with him. And I kind of was shocked at the consideration of crossing over together. And I told him that he will go first and I will follow and I will find him and we will continue on the other side. And this is such a test for my inner strength and who I am in this universe. And simultaneously, I'm so happy to tell you about the equanimity of every moment in my life, because the nonprofit Music Men's Minds continues to flourish globally. As we're all sitting here on the Zoom platform today, I have seniors from all over the world meeting 3 times a week, and with the guidance of a music therapist, we are singing together. Although we can't, because of the lag problem, we're not able to actually be unmuted, but there's a soloist singing, and then we come together in social time, being able to smile and wave and send love through the ethers to each other.
This is such a tender time, Carol. Such a tender time.
And thank you
We're really
part of me for helping me through this.
Yeah, it's a
And
really tender time. And I know you're with him and accompanying him every step of this way. He's so lucky to have you. So lucky.
and I'm so lucky to have him because he is just a very profound teacher for me. And so really the learning goes on every minute of the day because we're all teachers for each other. Even on your deathbed, he's such a potent teacher for me, and for me to be able to share this. You're all my first responders. I want you to know you are my first responders, and I am so deeply grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. I would say especially on his deathbed, he's a great teacher. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Our heart are with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Our next question, please, or observation or sharing. Moderator, please.
Go ahead, Laura. You can unmute yourself, I think.
Hi, Trudy. Oops.
Put your video back on. Hi.
Yeah, thank you so much for the teaching, and thanks everyone for the Sangha. It's really wonderful. I'm joining from Oakland. And I used to come to the sit on Sunday mornings when I lived in LA. So it's nice to be back, to be able to be back. I have been noticing, though I have experienced those moments that you talked about of just happiness and joy, I also notice that I'm kind of floating toward negativity a lot in statements and thinking, and sort of a cynicism about politics and our leaders. And I'm wondering if you could comment on that or give me some ideas about how to relieve that.
Oh, I mean, I think it's natural when we look at our leaders being political and we look at the number of lives that will be lost because of the delayed response in this country, and that's still going on. There are still governors in certain states that have not asked people to stay home. It's just hard not to be cynical and angry. I think underneath cynicism, though, it's good to look what's underneath that feeling. Inquire and be with it instead of trying to change it and feel like it's not spiritual or it's bad to feel negativity. Yesterday at the Wild Women meeting, I chose the topic of rage, anger and rage, because there is so much to be angry about, as well as the beauty and the joy in life. And our practice is not asking us to only to paste a smiley face or a beauty face, on everything. And it's really asking us to be truthful about what's our truth in this moment, and to understand that we don't have to fixate on any one moment and say, well, if I'm full of negativity and I'm angry and enraged and everything, then that's who I am. That means I'm that kind of person. No, it means that's the truth of this moment. So I think that it may address your question, because actually that's a way to transform experience, but it's so paradoxical because we don't get to transform it by wanting to make it change or go away. And I think there's a lot of good reason to feel sad and angry and all the things that we're all feeling, in addition to tuning into the vastness and spaciousness and gorgeousness of this life.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that helps, I found this quote from a writer, Margaret Rinkle, for the New York Times, and she talks about the natural world. She said, The natural world's perfect indifference has always been the best cure for my own anxieties. Every living thing, every bird and mammal and reptile and amphibian, every tree and shrub and flower and moss is pursuing its own urgent purpose, a purpose that sets my worries in a larger context. The natural world is everywhere, is everywhere, not just on my half-acre lot in suburbia, and not just on my favorite trails at the local parks. You can find it during a walk on city streets. You can find the natural world in people's potted plants on their balconies. It's in the branches of the sidewalk trees as they begin to split open and change to green. It's in the sparrows and starlings taking nesting materials into the cracks around windows and doorways of commercial buildings. It's in the wild geese crying as they fly in a sky full of drifting clouds. The sunshine always returns. I loved that. I thought it's a kind of comfort that the earth provides for us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rena.
Yeah, hi, Trudy. Thank you. Hi, Trudy. Something I've been sort of struggling with is like the fine line between fear and caution. And when it comes to like elderly in my family and like wanting to constantly remind them like, hey, you don't really need to go to like, you know, I don't know, the grocery store 2 days in a row. You can go one time and buy something for a week and then just stay home and not wanting to control their actions because I realize that like it's not in my control and their destiny is their destiny, but like just finding myself like reminding them or feeling like I want to, you know, every 2-3 days, just checking in and just making sure they're understanding how important it is that they stay inside, because I still feel like I have family that doesn't get it 100%. And so like, what is the fine line between like that sense of like wanting to control or feeling like I'm going to save them or like at least doing my best and then just letting them choose their own, because they have to make their own choice. It's up to them. And like, I can't control them physically, but like sometimes there's just this urge of like, you know, feeling like I want to like let them know that like this is a dangerous thing and like to take it seriously.
I think it's your job to do that. I really do. It's hard, especially for the younger people. It's really, they don't feel vulnerable, especially teenagers. They just don't feel, it's good that they don't in certain ways, but in a situation like this, I think it is your job to remind them and be cautious, but that's just my opinion. You know, this is just a matter of opinion and you need to do what feels right to you because you know your family and you know best. You're really the, you know, you're the expert on this situation, not me. But I've also, I noticed for a while, I felt like my daughter was getting groceries for this one and getting groceries for her aunt. And I mean, beautiful, but I also know that she was stir crazy and wanting to get out. So it was both the generosity of taking groceries to somebody, but also escaping the house. And that everybody does have that wish from time to time, even if they don't have little kids at home. I don't know if any of you saw the video of the woman. She's saying all the nice things about, you know, here we are and we're cherishing this time together as a family. And then she holds up a piece of paper that says, help, get me out of here. And she says, you know, we're doing puzzles. So they can hear me. It says they can hear me. She says, we're doing puzzles and having fun. She says, I'm cooking and cleaning all day. I want to leave. So, you know, it went on, and it was hysterical because I think we're all feeling the both sides of this situation. Every situation has some blessings to it, but at the same time, yes, we're restless and we want to go out and we're used to being able to go out. And so, yeah, I think you just have to trust your intuition, Rena. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Kenny and Izumi.
Oh. Hi. Thank you.
Hi. Nice to see you both. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Ilana and Carol, my love to you guys. Anyways, I just wanted to say that, you know, what you were saying towards the end of your talk about how, you know, we all feel like, oh, we have to be doing some fabulous cooking or spring cleaning. And, you know, there's this constant pressure of being productive.
That's right.
In the transformation. And we have been nothing but productive because we had to move. We actually had to move in the middle of this. So we have been constantly like nonstop moving, you know, organizing and stuff. But then there's this deep desire for me to stop and pause. And yesterday, I finally came to a place. I'm sorry, my cat wants to talk too. I can finally
meeting your cat.
Thank you. I finally can see the desktop. I can finally see top of the bed in the other bedroom, you know, because it was all piled up with everything. And I finally saw that space coming, and suddenly I felt this fear coming on. Like, okay, now it's time to stop for me. And I'm scared. I'm scared because, I mean, I have been saying all along, like, this is really great for me, great for the world to pause. But then this uncertainty, you know, we love going to retreats to stop doing everything and pause, but we know when the end is.
That's right. We don't know when the end is here.
So now I'm suddenly getting in touch with this sensation of fear. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we have all the tools how to deal with it, but it's, you know, I'm grateful that I have this. I'm so grateful that we get to have more than 100 people now on our Sunday City.
Again, we can have hundreds of people now. Everybody's welcome. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
but about the fear, you know, I think that's why often, you know, this, Izumi, that's why so often people don't want to stop.
Right.
Because when we do slow down and pause and stop, guess what? We get to feel our feelings. And that's one of the challenging things about meditating, actually. You know, I remember when I was young and single at times, I didn't even want to meditate because then I would just feel all these sexual feelings and wish to be with somebody. And, you know, of course it would, if I would keep meditating, then that I could work with that very skillfully and it would transform into presence. But what you're describing, fear is scary. Fear is scary by definition. That's its job. And I think what we can do, all of us, is just offer a bow, you know, to our fear and say, thank you, but I actually don't need you to protect me right now. I don't need you to. And also then, Izumi, to focus on, because you have years and decades of meditation practice, to focus on your ability to connect with the wider truth of who and what we are. That goes beyond our individual existence and separate sense of self that gets so scared. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Gabby.
Oh. Hi, thank you. Nice to meet you, Trudy.
Nice to meet you, Gabby. Welcome. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for the practice today. And, you know, my question has to do with the focus and the concentration, because sometimes it's hard with so much going on. And I try not to watch TV anymore and look at the numbers that people, their souls pass, you know, physically
that's good.
Away.
I think that's wise.
Maybe thinking of it, how many of us are still alive because there's still a large amount of us. But there's points where like it, has consumed me so much that I lose my sleep, hard to focus. I have to do some work at home and do a lot of writing. I even created this little guy with a little feather pen because I'm like, okay, guy, we need to write today. We have a lot of writing to do because I don't have my coworkers with me and, someone to push me, but not to make it so forceful that I'll be like, I have to focus, I have to concentrate, and then I can't, right?
Right.
I'm glad you brought that topic today. And what can I do throughout those moments, right? That because it's productivity for my work, and if I don't produce, then I'll get laid off, and who knows?
Well, you do need to do your work, but I think one thing that might help you relax, because it seems like you just need to relax to do your work. That when you pressure yourself with, I have to concentrate, and it's not so helpful. And creating your little being there with this quill pen, holding the feather pen, that's a really creative way. I just want to name that. It's really creative way to work with your situation. And I noticed there's somebody in your bed too, who I think probably provides some support.
You all want to meet her?
Yeah, we'll meet her.
Her name is Dora.
Dora? Dora? Is it Dora like the Dora, the cartoon Dora? Oops, I lost you, Gabby. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
I think that's okay. You don't have to have your video. I can, as long as I know you're there. I think what might also help you relax is to just remind yourself, Gabby, that 99% of us are going to survive this. We are going to get through this. And that can be a support when you're feeling scared. Oh, there she is. Hi. When you're feeling scared. And also, one thing that I have done, because I wanted to do some writing and I just haven't gotten to that, and it's been weeks. And so I have a buddy, and we are texting each other at the end of the day. It's Christiana, and we're texting each other at the end of the day. And even if, 10 days go by and I haven't written, I know she has a book deadline, so she's actually writing more than I am for sure. But just having that sense of company, if there is one of your coworkers, somebody that you like and trust, that you could text each other, okay, I got it done. Do you know what I mean? Just to have a sense of support and connection, when many of us had a lot of support and connection through our jobs. That's why retirement is so hard for some people, and getting laid off can be so devastating, because besides the economic consequences, there's a whole social world and community that we lose. And even if we didn't particularly like everybody, they were the landscape of our life, So I'm glad to meet you, and the meditation will also help you. It will help you just to relax as much as you can when you're doing it. Don't worry about concentration or mindfulness or whatever I taught. Your mind took that in, okay? You have that. So just to relax into your own being and be as loving and tender with yourself as you know how to be. Because that's relaxing too. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Asan.
Hi. Hi, Trudy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you and I can see you. Hi.
Perfect. Hi.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you guys are doing. You, Jack, and all the staff at InsightLA, Mark and his team behind, and you guys. This is great. And I feel responsible to whatever you guys give me to pass to other people when I go to work daily around my staff who are anxious about getting disease. I have a question really quick, and since this whole thing started, I've been feeling a little tight in my chest, and I've been dealing with it different ways, and I learned a lot. I have used what Jack told us yesterday, and then Wednesday night, Beth told me something, and I'm just doing compassion, I'm aiming different things. So like Beth told me, don't aim your compassion towards the fear, but your suffering, which was really awesome when I used that. And Jack basically is saying, talk to the fear, say, hey, thank you for helping me. And they all work. Body scan, your body scan yesterday was amazing. They all work, and when I use them temporarily, it goes away. And I'm trying to make a deal with it, but I don't think I'm at peace with that fear or the tightness in my chest yet. So I wanted to ask you, see, even if that's important, or
well, what do you mean? Yeah, what do you mean by being at peace with it? Because if you mean by being at peace with it that you could like it or it would be fine with you, it's unpleasant. So the mind doesn't like that which is unpleasant. So what do you mean by making peace with it?
Well, when they say like be kind to it and be like compassionate to it, I mean, I can try to do that, but I don't really. Like,
you don't really feel it. Yeah. Well, I don't know what obviously you're doing on a day-to-day basis or moment-to-moment basis in your day. But one thing, it might be interesting for you to experiment with some of what I was saying to Alana, where you, when that tightness comes and, and you've done some of the practices and they work in the moment, but then it comes back and it's there again. Yeah. And, you really, at that point, maybe it is time to go out for a walk, or maybe it is time to get some exercise that can bring energy flowing through the body and can help release some of that tightness. Even to stretch can help. So it's not, there's no perfect remedy. We're human, and our humanness is not always fun. There's no perfect remedy, but just feel free to explore the different practices, make them your own. Say, well, that way didn't work, but what if I tried this? Do you know what I mean? Like, feel free to play around with it and use your imagination. And that can also bring a kind of fresh energy to the places that feel stuck and tight. And then ultimately to begin to realize through your practice that that sense of being a compressed, suffering being all on your own is, it's actually an illusion. We really are connected to our world and connected to each other. And the more deeply that you connect with yourself, it opens out into connection with everything and dissolving that sense of condemned isolation, being into being a separate being. I'm not even talking about quarantine or staying at home. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just spiritually, that sense. Keeping in mind there's a bigger picture. And I know there are still people with their hands raised, and we're coming to the end of our time together. So next week, or I will also be teaching Thursday night. There's a class called Home Together. And the first meeting, I did talk about working with fear specifically. And I'm sure we'll continue with that. And in the Home Together class, I'm also leaving a lot more time for exchange with each other, so that we don't have raised hands, hopefully, that we haven't gotten to. We'll do our best. So I want to just end with a poem that I read yesterday. It's a small, short poem, and it goes like this. Love is not canceled. Music is not canceled. Dancing isn't canceled. Progress isn't canceled. Meditating isn't canceled. Dreaming and imagining are not canceled. Self-care, stretching, exercising, making food, listening, whatever it may be, is not canceled. And having fun is not canceled, folks. So I wish you a good day, a good week. Mostly stay healthy, safe, be careful of each other. And when I say be careful of each other, we can still, even with our masks on, we can still have little moments of social connection when we're walking, waving, saying hi. Don't discount these. They're little, but all of them contribute to our sense of health and well-being, because we humans need this. We need each other. So let's just sit together for a moment to close our time together. So at the end of a period of study and practice together, a chance to listen to teachings and to learn from each other, we offer our appreciation and gratitude for this practice to all beings everywhere without exception. We make a kind of imaginative gesture of generosity, taking whatever was beneficial or useful or good for us and just sending it out into the world that really needs our love right now and needs our caring. So may we all stay safe and connected as we continue to grow in our mindfulness, concentration, insight, wisdom, love, compassion, and joy.